You must have something difficult to present today, we figured.
No,
Well, we know why Evan shows up.
yeah, I'm gonna make him come more often. I know it gets accepted when he.
Cardinals got swept, didn't they?
Yeah, but
How?
is that your team?
Yeah.
I was afraid of that.
How bad is
Afraid of me saying that or afraid of it happening? Or both? Both.
I was disappointed seeing it happen.
Okay, we're live. I'd like to call the meeting of the Raleigh County Commissioners, April 6th meeting to order. Please stand for the pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, welcome everybody. Good morning. Do we have any public comment? Okay, seeing none. Okay, seeing none, we'll go to commission comments. Commissioner McKinley.
It's really, it was a quiet week for me, just working on the house. Outside in the good weather, got my allergies going real well, so I'm squeaking today. I don't really have anything.
Okay.
Believe it or not, I have the same thing to say. I've just not much going on this week. No. The only two things I have is I just talked with Matt McApring from KDOT, some items on behalf of Ogden. And then I talked to Craig Cox yesterday, discussed some ideas and some thoughts on the animal control
Okay.
situation. Other than that, I've actually been working this week, but I'm tired, physically tired. And we got our ISO and our environmental audits and some of those other functions that go along with that done. That's all I've got.
Okay, well, I had a busy week.
I'm glad somebody's
Feel better now.
First week of the month for me is usually crazy. But, anyway, Monday afternoon, I went over to Seagull Park to watch some of the Manhattan High School track teams practice.
Mhm.
Met with one of the coaches with the athletic department at Manhattan High School, looked at some ongoing space issues they have. And currently I was watching the javelin throw practice. That's pretty interesting.
catching.
No.
I tried to do that with jarks when I was young.
No, it's
That's probably why they made them illegal.
But they've been kind of moving around different places where they can have the space and the spotters available to make sure nobody gets hit with those things. Anyway, they're right now working on working out at on the practice at the parking lot that's used for the horse trailers. When they have competition, so they have to move move around when trailers are coming in, kind of thing. So far, so good for them. Tuesday, I attended the Food and Farm Council presentation.
Thank you.
Yeah, it was really well attended with about 50 plus people from many groups in the community. We went over the food system master plan for Raleigh County and the city of Manhattan. I don't know if you've seen the big master plan. I have a copy of it if anyone wants to look at it. There were about 5 focus groups that worked on the 3 goals identified in the plan, and each group was tasked to develop action plans for implementation. And then they presented their ideas at the end of the meeting and what everyone came up with. A lot of good ideas came from all the groups. Information will be gathered, or it was gathered and will be available on the website soon. So, thank you. James gave an update on what the group has planned going forward. They're looking for community donations to move the council forward in the community. Vicki would like to retire when a new director is able financially to be hired. So that's one of their goals. So, but it was really well organized. They provided healthy foods for everyone. It was rocking
No
cake.
cookies.
No cookies.
Oh,
No.
You can make healthy cookies. They don't taste real good, but you can make them.
Nowadays.
Yeah, no cheesecake.
Oh.
Yes, they had all sorts of things. Anyway, then later that afternoon on Tuesday, I went to a rather lengthy meeting of the Common Table Group. Under discussion was how the group moves forward with central location at the Knight Trade Center, since the school board has delayed the project till 24. It does give us extra time to get a strategic plan on budget and maybe some grant numbers worked out. Wednesday, I attended the military relations luncheon at the campus Holiday Inn. There's a new military relations manager who was introduced. Her name is Kristen Bishop. She started this week. She looks like it's going to be a really good fit.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. She's worked at Fort Raleigh for a long time. So, really good with that. Let's see, guest speakers were Lieutenant Colonel Brian Winthrop, U.S. Air Force, and Lieutenant Colonel Brad Ralph, U.S. Army, who are in charge of the K-State ROTC programs. They did a whole presentation on what the Air Force ROTC, how it's different from the Army ROTC. That was interesting. It was kind of a competition almost. Okay.
Oh, you mean one's on ground and one's in the air?
Well, yeah, but they do their scholarships. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a little different. They did bring 2 ROTC students from the Pershing rifle team, and then they did a rifle drill for the group.
They had a clip of that on the news this morning.
Did they?
Yeah, one of the news
Yeah.
stations coming to talk about the meeting, but also had the guys doing
There
their.
was this camera there, but didn't realize it was being.
Yeah, I was on this one.
Oh, well, they did a really good job. There were just 2 of them, and it was really interesting to see them. You know, it was really good for the group. But they did have a lot of good. They had cheesecake.
Okay.
Oh, it was really good.
Could have gotten away just for half an hour.
I know.
For cheesecake.
They can bring that cheesecake every month. So anyway, let's see. Last night I went to bell practice. We're getting ready for Easter, and so we're getting ready in the Holy Week. So in church for the rest of the week. So.
Well, it's good. Yeah.
So that's all I have.
Business.
Stock up on eggs if you need them.
Oh, well, I heard on the radio, Subway now has a Cadbury egg crushed and bread sandwich. It's about
Jeez.
600 calories. And yeah, the crushed Easter eggs on bread.
Usually I'm in favor of chocolate, but that doesn't
Yeah.
sound
Just
chocolate sandwich.
Subway. Get one.
No, I
Nutella.
think I'm gonna take a pass on that one.
Chocolate and bread just doesn't suit.
No,
My chocolate sandwich would be 2 chocolate bars stacked together.
Oh,
bingo, with something in the middle of it. Yeah.
That makes sense.
Isn't that common sense? What's wrong
Pretty
with you,
obvious.
Subway?
Pretty obvious.
Dark chocolate, dark chocolate.
dark chocolate sandwich. Yeah, that sounds.
I guess you could do white chocolate. You know, for
White chocolate,
aesthetics,
white
it
chocolate.
looks more like a sandwich.
Yeah.
No,
But-
There you go.
white chocolate's
A
an
little
abomination.
lettuce on it, maybe.
Oh,
I agree. I agree.
Blend some mayonnaise.
We agree on white chocolate and macadamia.
Mhm.
That's about it.
Otherwise, you know, deli meats and vegetables, I mean, they're separate.
Yeah,
That's supposed to be.
it'd be interesting to see if anybody buys that.
And I can understand them putting a Cadbury egg, you know, with the sandwich separately in a bag, you know, and then you can have dessert that way.
On the top,
Yeah.
that's kind of strange.
Yeah.
So,
And those people eat peanut butter and banana and potato chip sandwiches.
That's good.
That's good.
I thought that was just a South thing. Never mind. He's gonna zip it up now.
Potato chips are good on any sandwich, except the Cadbury.
I'd have the onion sandwich. I can do it with that.
Yep.
I don't know if that would be considered a real healthy lunch.
Well, that's
We
what
weren't talking about health though.
No. Taste
That was
of it.
off the table to start with when you started talking about crunched up chocolate
And you really need butter on the onion sandwich.
and on the bread and toasted.
That would help.
Yeah.
Oh, I think we ought to start it.
Reminds me of the video I saw, the guy who for every day for 30 days ate a stick of butter.
That's a challenge. How long did he last?
7, 1 week. And I was even surprised by that.
Gross.
Okay, we ready
Great
for some
business,
business?
Commissioner.
I thought this was business.
Here's
Yeah.
back in my breath.
Yeah, look at this.
That's what I said.
Okay.
Motion to approve the contract agreement with Schilling Construction Company Inc. for the 2023 asphalt overlay program alternate number 1 in the amount of $1,280,252.
Any questions? Any final thoughts on that?
We're here for questions.
I just thought Evan was here for something positive this morning, so I was just, relaying. Fair enough.
That was probably covering the next one.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. Well, I'll go ahead and move to approve the contract for the 2023 asphalt overlay program.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the 2023 asphalt overlay program. All in favor?
Aye.
Chair, please. You really do have some allergies this morning, don't you?
Yeah, no, yesterday was a lot worse.
Oh,
I could barely make noises yesterday.
but Jan was happy.
Yeah.
We got a couple of pretty good basketball recruits we might be going after.
Oh, really?
I'm hearing this kid from Baylor's a summed up deal. Kind of worries me so early in the
I
process.
wondered if that wouldn't work out that way when I saw he was entering. I kind of thought, because I heard Tang make some comments earlier in the week about, someone asked him about, if they got each other's players. I said, he would call Drew or the coach there and say, hey, what's he like? What do you think of him?
It looks like Tomlin's gonna test the NBA waters too.
Yeah, but I don't think, I think
Uh,
he's just
yeah.
probably just learning,
Yeah.
what do I need to learn this year?
Uh-huh.
I think that's a good process. I actually like that.
Yeah.
Process. Baseball. It's already done before it started.
That's too early to give up them.
Have you seen him play yet?
I'm just trying to be positive.
Um,
It's been nice.
I'll put my money on the Cardinals before I put my money on the Royals this year.
Next, commissioners need a motion to approve requested increase in the contract price of $25,784.40 per year. This amount is to be paid in monthly installments of $2,148.70 per month, April 2023 through March 2024.
What are we getting more for $25,000?
So the main increases were for labor, equipment, trucks, dumpsters, truck tires, and fuel.
It's almost 40%.
And that's almost 40%. I mean, is this our only option?
With the timing, yes. We approve it this year, we'll bid it before this contract expires. Do that, we go a couple months without traction.
Did they get an increase last year? You remember?
It was, we bid it out, I think last year was the first.
Well, no, it said it started at 21.
Mhm.
I don't think they had an increase last year. I think
Okay.
it stayed the same rate.
It says it would be a second extension.
Yeah.
I guess it's, could be for 4 years, is that right? Or
No, so they just, this is just extended for 1 year, and they could do it for a couple more years.
Is that on a yearly cycle, starting at the bid of this contract, or does that work on the regular calendar year?
I believe it's on the calendar.
On a calendar year?
Yeah.
So it'll be a little bit less, because we've already had basically 3 months, a quarter. It's just hard to swallow, almost a 40% increase all at once. I mean, I got it incrementally, but I don't know. That's not something that we can absorb internally for the rest of the year, I suppose, right?
We will.
was that built into your budget?
I mean, out when it shows up a month ago that they would have increased rates, we didn't plan for that last May,
No. That's what's troubling about that.
Yeah.
When did we do that bid?
March of
Probably for a
21.
year. We'll do the bids the first year,
First
but
year.
when the contract now runs up, we'll start it at the end of this contract.
I just think that's a hell of a large increase for. What basically equates us to 9 months at this point in time.
No, it's a year. It says
Oh.
from April to March.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is there any way we can put a stipulation in there that if they're gonna have an increase over, say, 20%, that they need to let us know 6 months in advance? So we can-
We'll change that where it gives us more time to prepare and rebid.
The
if
next contract.
An increase comes like that, yeah.
I almost think that's why it's happening.
We didn't have one.
Well, they're just, surprise, mid-year surprise, either you take it or you don't have another option.
Pretty much, we have
Yeah.
30 days. And we can't go to bid in 30 days, like some bids. in 30.
Is there another option in the meantime? Has that been discussed at least?
They don't know what it is unless. They get the bid and cancel the contract early. And I haven't read it that thoroughly, but know that we can cancel it.
I might suggest we do that just so we have all of our bases covered. On the subject,
Rebid it.
or just see what options are, and if we do need to rebid it, yeah, I might go that way.
Like how long would that, do we want to put this in for a couple of months while we're bidding or?
No, that's-
Clancy, do you know what the,
He needs to look into the contract.
Yeah.
See what it's heading for. So I think that's what you're saying. Let's
Exactly.
see what the contract says for stopping it, what that would involve.
so do we need to table this then?
That's what I'd like to do for the moment, so we can. I like to review the contract and see what options are and what stipulations are, and come back to it. We have a little bit of time, right? Or no?
Not
Not
really.
really, it started last week, but.
We're already in
We're
April, so it
so-
doesn't really matter either way there.
We have a verbal agreement with Powers for 30 days just to continue under this current price, so I guess we could look into extending that maybe. Probably if possible.
Okay,
Well, like I say, just see what the option, I don't think say necessarily, but just find out what the options are in that contract.
come back with a car and we'll discuss it. A little bit more detail. Okay. I'd like to make a motion then that we'll table this discussion until a further time.
I'll second.
And moved and seconded to table the discussion on the crash services, still a later date on the other.
Aye.
Nick, commissioners need a motion to approve payroll and accounts payable.
Not gonna table that one. Go ahead, make a motion to approve payroll and accounts payable.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve payroll and accounts payable. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All three, please. Commissioners, good morning, Manhattan's April 20th, 7:15 a.m. Would all of you like to attend?
Sure.
I think that's when I'm gone. I'll be gone, that's. I think.
Okay. Catherine, would you like to attend?
Um,
Yeah. Clancy?
Not for me, Rich, thanks.
You have some brown paint available? Okay.
I got probably 6 gallons, 5 gallons, 5 gallon buckets.
Okay. Well, I don't need that much, but maybe a gallon.
Always use what you need. But I can maybe set you up with one guy.
Yeah, okay. I might come up there this afternoon, and take a look. Might need some, okay. I'm working on a computer desk at home and I decided instead of buying one, I'm just gonna spruce up the one I've got and use it. It's still pretty solid and stable, but
Take that
I'd prefer it.
brown and fawn.
Let's just see what you got. I'm not trying to paint the whole thing. I'm just trying to trim it out and spruce it up a little bit. I need a project or something to work on, so.
We've got.
A lot more sheets these days, huh?
Commissioners have any changes to the minutes?
I do not.
I don't.
Did you have any changes to the minutes?
Just one minor, thanks. Lady just dropped off the document with her name on it and then shared about it.
Oh, okay.
Let's see, on page 6, Rich.
Yeah, come on, bringing it up here.
Yeah, it's just a minor thing.
6.
Yes, 6, number 17, under Craig Cox, Deputy County Council.
Gotcha.
Just the line beginning Cox stated at the city county meeting. That's like the first, second, third line down, I think. Maybe
Stated at the city
county meeting, when city staff said, just strike out the word when in that sentence.
Oh, gotcha.
And that's it. That's all. Thank you.
So you don't want that statement in there, that sentence?
No, just the word when,
When.
just the
When,
word
okay.
when. Because that's where the remark was made. So.
Anything else?
Okay, with that said, then I'll go ahead and make a motion that we approve the minutes as amended from the April 3rd meeting of the Riley County Commission.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes as amended from April 3rd. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Tentative agendas with commissioners. Any items for next week's press conference?
I think that on when is it, the 10th, we don't necessarily need a break at 10:25.
Probably don't now, but we never know. That's why we put it in tentatively. It's, you got to remember, these tentative agendas are moving.
Yeah,
Up to the day of the meeting, so it's not always going to be perfect.
well, I know, but if somebody wants to come in and go in,
Yeah.
Yeah, there's just not much they can get done in 5 minutes. It's only a 5-minute break. Anything else, commissioners? Next is Amanda Webb at 9 o'clock.
Did Craig update you on our conversation yesterday?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
I was gonna type an email real quick and I thought, I really don't feel like typing all that. Craig got the long-winded me yesterday. It happens to everybody at some point in time. It's just life.
I didn't get her name. She said she was gonna write it on the document, on a post-it. And I asked her to toss it in the chair, so I know where it was.
Yep. Get 30. 30. Very low. But it's okay. There you go. Where? No.
How big does my garden have to be to classify as ag?
There's not a specific.
Right, now we've got some loopholes.
Yes. It's just add to
Depends
the
on
next
which
year.
I like that idea, Commissioner.
Put a couple of tabs in there.
Well. Grass.
Verify and say, yeah, no, that's not.
That grass every once in a while, but take a bite or two, so.
Yeah. But, well, good luck with proving production or income on that.
Well,
Okay.
last year, my garden was feeding the rabbits. Does that count as? As,
That's a hobby farm.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, it is Easter and bunnies are part of Easter, so
Oh,
you're just
they're-
doing your part.
They're already out running around.
Oh, yeah.
They're going crazy.
Just raccoons eating trash, meat, and get out.
Yeah.
Okay. You go there, just, go ahead. Yeah.
There was a big old raccoon on my wall the other morning.
On your wall.
Yeah, I have a potato wall.
Oh. I was thinking something totally different. Wow, how does that happen? Some places down south, they mount those and put those on a wall, but you still don't see it up
I'm
here.
not Texan.
Hey man, I'm here calling raccoons dumpster can.
Yeah.
I've heard that too, yeah.
Trash can.
Yes, yes.
Yes, I get free.
Oh, my dog sure wanted to get out there and get out.
Mm-hmm, I bet.
I don't think you've ever seen him crack.
Buildings and stuff. Shoot down.
They were very good.
How are you?
Every weekend.
Yes.
I said I've been ready for that for a few days now.
Over here, right? Stop.
Yeah, okay, go ahead.
Good morning, Commissioners. Amanda Webb, Planning Director. I am here to finalize the request for qualifications for our comprehensive plan update consultant. We talked about this, I believe, last Monday, kind of brought a draft just for you folks to take a look at. There was a few pieces of information I needed to plug in, which I have done. And then there was a couple of things we talked about in terms of the scope of work for the consultant, and I need those updates as well. So it should be ready to go if you folks are comfortable with it. The plan is to get it out the door on Monday. And we have a schedule. Yeah, the schedule of anticipated schedule of events, I should say. There's kind of a lot put in there, but kind of want to get through the process in a relatively expedited amount of time if possible. Again, everything's outlined in there, kind of again, what we're looking for the consultant to help us with, what we're looking for in their proposals. Also, just a reminder, you folks will be part of the selection committee as well as myself and some folks from different departments. So of course, with comprehensive planning, this is not just a planning thing, it's not just planning and development. So there's lots of different people involved. So that works out well that, we would have other people on the selection committee as well. So I don't necessarily have a ton more to say about it, unless you had any questions or any concerns or anything to discuss.
Where do how is this published or where is it published?
So the procurement code doesn't give a whole lot of direction for this particular type of thing. So I have a list of several firms that I will send it out to, just ones that I know who have done work in the Kansas area in the last few years. Of course, they'll go on our website and I'll keep kind of, looking for other firms to send it to. I want to get, as many folks as I can to get it, in front of and, see if we can get a good amount of qualification statements so we can have, some review. So that's kind of what I'm looking at there. Questions or concerns or comments?
I'll go ahead then and make a motion to finalize the comprehensive plan update consultant request for qualification.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to finalize a comprehensive plan update consultant request qualification. All in favor?
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, man. Next week will be a much bolder than 9:15.
You said the number. Thank you.
News this morning said that they passed the Senate that resolution. We just said you have to go to vote for 4%. That's go to the House. They changed from 3 to 4, but still.
Yeah.
It'll be on the ballot.
They're gonna be on the ballot in 24. Next year ballot.
I'm not so for sure it's gonna pass the House when. I'm gonna say.
Really?
Mhm.
Well, and they said it's for existing houses, but didn't, wouldn't include sales, so when a house is sold, it's jumped, so you have to buy some new houses, gonna buy it this. Paying a higher rate than people that live. You know, is it-
Well, the thing is too,
You said it's gonna be the lower,
and it's just math. The thing is, they're still gonna appraise them based on sales price, so they'll know what the value is. So then say there's a year when there's a no increase, but you've got to catch up because the
They weren't
value, so
doing
the year that you would have gotten no increase or probably not a negative, but no increase, you're gonna get an increase. And
That's the whole
it
thing with
just
that.
proves that they have no idea what they're doing.
No, what it proves is they're not worried about the future. They're only worried about things in the moment.
And they don't know what they're doing.
yes.
No.
Masterson, the one that did both of them, how many times has he gone bankrupt?
I have no
Dealing
idea.
With finances?
Yeah.
Have you listened to the Senate's debate this? I was listening to them debate this and it was very disappointing.
Oh.
Well, get used to it. That's all I can say.
Oh, it was not interesting. It was appalling.
The way they operate isn't.
We have elections coming up.
Uh-huh.
That was brought up too. There was mention, is this a political move type thing to kind of muddy the ballot
Yeah.
in ways. Mention. Concern. It was interesting.
Then it would be interesting to see how they find the light up as it goes on the ballot. There was. I think it's based, on the ballot, you can't even tell whether you want, but.
Right.
But if you ask them, no, you can't tell.
Yeah.
Did you hear that concession speech?
Oh, yeah.
Judge saying.
Yeah.
Wisconsin, the guy that made this concession.
Oh, right.
No, I heard a concession speech. Oh, goodness.
That's the Supreme Court.
Yeah, it's very where he was just really knocking this lady, like, oh, God, it isn't just, oh, this is the end of my, I mean, it's. come on. Oh, yeah, concession speech, I was just. Oh. Did you hear that?
No, I did not. I heard about the big race, but I did not hear about the secession speech. I never even heard the outcome of the race.
Well, the lady got, the woman got.
Mhm.
A big money.
Yeah.
Probably proved why he lost to begin with.
I guess that was.
A lot of them are up there in Wisconsin. It's a
But anytime you. They elect this.
I saw that.
That's not a recipe for success.
Well, it's like that, you know, and then here it's really he was like, I was just listening to that. I wouldn't even.
Yeah. Yeah.
Decent people.
I think what you're finding is that decent people don't want to be involved in it. We've polluted that so poorly that good people that would probably do a really good job just aren't going to be interested in doing it.
Well, and I think Pollard, so much part of it is that he released the. Pay special.
Yeah.
Pays and those little boards you gotta. You gotta have your own money.
I think one of the other things that would help in that regard too is that they went to a biannual session. So you're really only there for like maybe, yeah, so you're there for maybe 6 months out of the 2 years. And it really opens up what your availability is. I mean,
To do other things.
some people can plan for that 2 year period and take 6 months off out of it and make it work. You know, with a little increase in pay, but as it stands, it just doesn't
I was
work.
really good with that.
You know, have the off election year, the year you're in, and then the election year you don't. It's take a lot of the politics out of it too.
Oh, they can't do that.
I know.
They gotta be.
Then they actually have to do something, right? Or the other option would be the complete opposite and make it year round.
God, no.
No, don't like that idea.
God, no.
But then at least your per diem per day, adds up to an actual workable salary.
They passed it, right?
They talked about it.
Yeah, right, and talk, but amendment at the first office on before he left, but it didn't. They appointed a committee over to right, I think that next year.
Term limits.
Oh, that would be different. In many ways.
I struggle with that.
Boy, I know. They're making decisions to stay in office. Time and time again.
But who puts them in office?
Lobbyists are the ones funding them to get them there. The fact. I mean, I don't.
But that's the problem still. You don't really eliminate that problem still with a new group of people after their term limit.
But
I just
think
think legislatively, it should be the will of the people to put people in there and that shouldn't be compromised. But you could run for 12 years, be term limited or whatever the term limit is, and then I could run in that same lobbyist group, it's just gonna push into that same next group of, and it might be better and it might be worse. I mean, you're taking your chances there. I just don't think that term limits is gonna solve what I think what we're really after.
Well, but I just think because most people don't understand every state that they don't. They hear some. Hear what the state
That
does
is
out.
for sure.
They put it, what they put out in the media without knowing all.
Because the Republican side of it is very actually like appraisal,
Oh, yeah.
things they're requiring, R&R,
Seems like this.
appraisal, limit,
I mean, it's always been there.
no LABTR, mortgage registration, all the public. All increased fees and taxes.
He was wanting.
I just thought the ploy on that LIVTR was interesting.
To me,
I'm surprised they haven't.
it's not that big a deal because essentially they've done that,
That's good.
And
because
if they can
it still
ignore- If they can ignore statute, then it just shows how. How sufficient that thing is if they can take.
Then if you're not even willing to take the statue off to prove your point, what does that, that's the part that gets me. Like, we're not gonna fund it, but we're not gonna let the statute go either because we don't want to be on the hook for saying we've done everything we can for property tax. It's a hell of a ridiculous strategy as far as I'm concerned. But we won't go there. Morning, Craig.
Morning, John.
How are you?
Fine, how are you?
We're
Doing
fine-
better than the Royals are.
We're fine as long as we're not talking about state legislature.
One.
That gets some kind of grumpy.
Well, that's the typical topic this time of year.
Mhm.
Of Michael.
Good, sir. Good. Good. I never did hear Commissioner. I was kind of curious when K-State played Kentucky Wildcats. Who did you cheer for?
Oh, K-State. Yeah. At the expense of my own family.
He's not invited to Thanksgiving now.
Yeah. So if you got an extra chair this year, I'd be very appreciative.
My wife was happy. She said, "You can think he's cheering for that."
Purple. Oh, always purple.
What an outstanding season that had.
Yeah. Yeah. We were talking about the difference between this athletic year and 12 and 13, and was this one better than that one? I mean, there's pros and cons to both, but I think this one's better because 12, we knew we had a good football team. We knew we had a good basketball team. This year, we really weren't for sure on either, in particular was basketball, to have it work out the way it worked out.
Yeah.
Well, everybody overachieved.
And the only difference in basketball is we did win the conference that year, but bowed out in the first round. This year, we made it to an Elite Eight, so I don't know. I mean,
I'd
it's
rather
kind
go to
of,
the Elite Eight.
that's kind of where
I
I'm
think
at.
that
on
West's a little
Westfield.
heavier.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, it's 9:15. Michael?
Well, good morning, Commissioners. Mike Bowler with the Riley County Just Weed staff update. I've got a couple of things for you this morning, a staff update and bid recommendation on the package. So with that, we'll get through that. We'll get through this. Spring spraying will begin this month. We do start off with bare ground applications on all county roads. That includes all our sign spraying, guardrails, roadside, parking lots, Citgo Park, that sort of thing. Solid spraying for noxious weeds and annual weeds will also begin this month with weather permitting. So far, we've had a pretty good spring as opposed to last year, although the wind continues and will always be an issue if you're in Kansas with spraying weeds. But we do 1/3 of the county in solid spray every year, and then 1 part will be treated this year. Spring seeding projects on county right of ways. Public Works has been very busy this year, cleaning up a lot of ditches, improving them, flow, that sort of thing. But then we come back behind them and fill them in with seed. And so we've had over 45 projects this year on that. And we are already on the downside of that. We've got almost the entire county pre-seeded already. So grateful for that because I do have one person down with a shoulder injury from truck accident we had years ago, or a year and a half ago here in the county. So down temporarily on light duty, but he'll be back soon. But we're making progress on seeding. So very pleased with where we're at on that.
Now, if you can just get some rain, but
Yes, we had a fairly moist winter, really. We didn't have much snow, but we had a moist winter. But so far this spring, we were needing kind of a gully washer. For us, a nice light rain. We don't want to really wash out the ditches and the ditches. But yes, you were correct. Certainly are down, I think so far for the year, 1/2 inch is what we're down. So I heard that report the other day. Again, we have this year, we have a full stock of cost share chemical. As you will recall, last year, there was a supply chain issue that has gone away. I'm happy to report in the chemical department, markets have stabilized somewhat. Seeing stabilized cost. I do a change for this year, and I mentioned it last month. I want to mention it again this year. We are having, occasionally we'll have folks come in and buy over 180 gallons of chemical to treat noxious weed, and that is a lot of noxious weed. We are required by the state. We only sell for the treatment of noxious weed. And so we just, moving forward, anybody buying that amount or greater, it may prompt a inspection of the property for that amount of weed. So just little heads up, we have sent notification to a few buyers that bought that much last year that just planned for that, so that nobody's too terribly upset, but everybody needs to understand 180 gallons is quite a bit. County roadside mowing will begin in May, and I'm happy to announce that we have all of our equipment in play. And as I mentioned earlier, we do have a bid proposal next on a new tractor, so we're pretty excited about getting that online. Moving on to the HHW side, this is kind of a ding ding moment. I want to point this out. Howie's Recycling is normally always the second Saturday of the month, which would be Easter weekend. Howie's and I decided it's a weekend of faith and family. So we are going to put HHW on the back burner for 1 week. So we will be down there Saturday, April 15th. So that will technically be the 3rd Saturday. We have put that out on our Facebook. We've got that on our website. Howie's has put it in their newsletter. So really feel like we've done everything we can to make sure everybody's aware of that. I'm confident we'll still have a few folks show up that weekend, hoping that they're going to be down there, but I think the message is pretty clear when Howie's is closed, and they'll understand it's Easter weekend. And I don't foresee any issues other than that 15th. I'm anticipating a very large crowd for our things because they put that in Howie's newsletter, and the last time they did that, we had 138 folks show up in 4 hours, 9,000 pounds of hazardous material. So got 2 personnel, and I plan on myself being down there on the 15th. I'm gonna get hammered from. Clean Harbors, our HHW contractor, conducted a clean out of her facility in March. We do 6 of those a year. We have been in negotiation with Clean Harbors. We have seen a market increase with them at 26% over the last year. We're very fortunate in that we are able to break up that cost a little bit over Riley County and 10 other counties in part of Great Lakes. But we are in negotiation with them to try to get that to slow down a little bit. Clean Harbors has been an outstanding vendor for us, but they are getting to really corner the market. They own 6 of the 10 incinerators in the United States and Canada that deal with HHW. And so when it comes to budgeting for the market, their response is, we are the market. And there's probably a little bit of merit to that. But having said that, they have been responsive. They are listening at this point, at least listening to us. So we hope to see that stabilize 26%. And we've seen increases on our invoice from every 2 months, which has been increasing no notification. Very difficult to try to budget for that. Of course, I answer to Riley County on that and 10 other counties' budgets for that. So it's something that we are working very closely with them to try to get that to slow down. Raleigh County HHW facility has recycled latex paint to give away. It's springtime. That has been vastly popular. It's just flying out the front door. So we do have some out there. Regional training for HHW operators will be conducted in cooperation with Barton County. We do this every year. And training will be April 13th out in the Riley County Public Works. So we'll have, I believe last time I checked, 25 attendees from across the state. HHW facilities will come to us for training, and then we do some hands-on training at our facility in the afternoon. And then finally, Justin Brenner and I will be attending the Works Conference, Solid Waste HHW Management. That's here in Manhattan. I don't know, apparently I missed the word Topeka. It was in Topeka last year. It's in Manhattan this year, so I apologize for that here. And that will be April 18th through.
Oh, yeah, don't make Topeka mistake.
Yeah, the Topeka facility. Yeah, we're gonna be at the Hilton this year. And
Good.
they're
Got it.
really nice. They're treating us well. That's what we do, the basic school, and CW, DAK, so a lot of their conferences. The only part of that is I don't get to go out of town. So with that, commissioners, I'll entertain any questions that you have on staff update this one.
Catherine, it's like good. I think I like to point out when there's consistency, we're seeing on what will lead to budgeting challenges this year with 26% increase is awful close to 30% increase we just stated.
Right, yeah.
And so the difficulty that we all have as department heads bringing to you guys minimal increases as possible, plus not increasing taxes to the taxpayers. It's just going to be more and more difficult when we're all, and that those are pretty consistent figures, and they're both waste type facilities, so it'll make the budgeting here challenging, I would think.
Well, it will, Rich, and thank you for making that point, because we're going into the bid proposal and there's some real world numbers here I'd like to show you that help illustrate that as well. This is our bid recommendation for our new tractor. As you recall, we sent out bids for a mid-size mower tractor. And those bids, we approved $135,000 for the tractor purchase. I'm very pleased to say that the bids came back and they were very competitive. John Deere is really stepping up and they're wanting. New Holland is generally at the market on government entities having tractors. When John Deere has realized a nice moving green building down side of county roads would be nice, and they've gotten in this game, they've gotten very competitive on prices. And so with that, Prairie Land Partners sent in a bid for our mid-sized tractor at $111,500. We have since received that bid and went and inspected that tractor and ensured that it meets all of our specs as we put it out, and it does. And I am recommending to the commissioners that we move forward with the purchase of that tractor from Prairie Land Partners at the cost of $111,500. Now, when I mentioned earlier, really low numbers, when I downloaded this onto our agenda today, I accidentally downloaded the first one was the 2020 bid tractor, and the real world number at that time, just 3 years ago, the numbers really have gone up dramatically in 2 months. The low bid on the very same tractor for one of the very same vendors is $75,000. That's a real world number. And I can tell you on the Prairie Land Partners, this bid has already gone up $10,000. The tractor is already. Time to send in the bid. They're still
They're
honoring.
not their bid,
They will honor this,
but new ones are already.
but John Deere is already on this very same tractor, very same spec. It's up 10,000.
But you're saying this is something they have on hand, though? It isn't one of those that you're gonna have to wait.
Yeah,
6 months.
That's the good news with John Deere, their production, New Holland, if we went with the New Holland. They're not taking orders, we wouldn't anticipate receiving the tractor until after January of this year. Prairie Land has advised probably late July. If we go with them, they'll have this tractor by late July. And because of the changes in price, they have already put an order in for this tractor. We're not obligated to buy. I explained to them that the commissioners have not approved it already. But because of the price increase and availability, they have actually already placed the order on this tractor. With the understanding that it is not official from us yet, but the tractor sells so well that they'll sell this tractor. So it has already been ordered. And so we're hopefully, fingers crossed, anticipating, pending your approval this morning, that we will receive this sometime in July. So that's good news. They're low bid and also more available. Very pleased on both of these. So with that, commissioners, I am recommending that we move forward with the purchase of the mid-size mower tractor for Prairie Land Partners.
And I remember when we read it, when we got on there, they had given an alternate.
Yes.
Was that just, they were just to see if you
Yes,
look
sir.
at it,
They-
see if it was good, if met yours.
Yes, sir, they did. You'll see at the end of that tractor spec on that 98-285, you'll see the word E, and E stands for the economy one. And it's essentially the stripped down version. You'll see a lot lower horsepower rating. Horsepower is important to us as we use tractors for roadside mowing, which is actually very hard on the tractor equipment. They're not designed to mow at a 15-degree angle. And so a higher horsepower mower is important. It also doesn't come with a suspended cab. And so you're going to get jostled around that cab quite a bit. Several creature comforts that just we put out on our spec. So short answer to that question is that 98,000 doesn't meet our spec requirement.
And that's why I was just wondering what the difference was. It's just,
It's actually fairly significant. You'd be surprised what you get for
what you don't get.
right, what you don't get. And the key to that is also, it's not just the creature comforts, it's longevity of the tractor.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a stronger axle, it's more horsepower, it's gonna meet our needs and last longer. So it's not just about, well, we like to be comfortable. It's not just about that. Yeah. A good question.
Did you say that, that you had that amount budgeted, 111,000?
Yes, Commissioner, I came to the commission early on and budgeted 135,000. So very pleased with this number. I really at the time felt I should be requesting a little bit more. So I'm very pleasantly pleased that we came significantly under that number. I really didn't anticipate that. So
I just want to double check that. Any other questions?
Make a motion then to moving forward with the purchase with Prairie Land Partners in Wamego, Kansas. Model 6120M John Deere tractor.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to move forward with the purchase from Prairie Land Partners in Wamego for John Deere 6120M tractor. All in favor?
thank you, Commissioner.
We have inburst at 9:30.
That's right at 50%.
What's that?
50% increase.
Yeah.
The problem with everything is as prices rise, but entities will raise taxes to cover that, but the taxes then go back to the entities, and the reason why they're raising the prices, because they're not gonna eat the difference, but it's just becoming a vicious little circle.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. It's nuts.
Right? We're just not gonna ever really gain anything back, and this is status quo. Mhm.
Okay, Kenneth.
Good morning, Commissioners. Anna Burson, the Riley County Appraiser's Office, and staff update for you this morning. It's quite lengthy, so we'll try to get through as quickly as we can. Personal property side, we're currently processing those return renditions. Renditions will all due March 15th, and so those that have not returned them will statutorily be assessed penalties at 5% per month, up to a total of 50%. Penalties cannot be reduced without a board of tax appeal order, so we really still are highly encouraging property owners to return them as soon as possible to minimize those penalties. And we plan to mail our personal property change of value notices by May 1st. Property owners can anticipate receiving those in that first week of May. With the current staff vacancy in personal property, our residential appraiser 3 is still currently serving in dual roles to help through the transition. The personal property appraiser 3, 2 positions posted, and we hope to fill that role soon.
How long has that been open?
We approved it. It was approved and posted, I think, mid last month. With the increased appeal volume and candidates received, we weren't quite ready to start scheduling interviews. I will be working with HR to see where we need to go at this point. Right now, with processing the informal appeals, as well as preparing to mail our personal property CVNs and the staff shortages. I'm not sure that we can squeeze interviews in quite yet. I will keep you updated on that as more comes. On the agricultural side, staff are working through the informal appeals process. This year, producers again will not receive the ag questionnaire. However, we still are encouraging them to continue reporting any change in use or production to our office. On the residential side, valuation notices were mailed February 24th. Owners had until March 27th to file an informal appeal. If property owners miss the deadline for an informal appeal, the next opportunity to appeal will be when they pay the taxes in December. Additional information on filing a payment under protest is available on the website. As a reminder, the mill levy relating to the 2023 valuation notices is not set until October. So just to remind everyone, we do not know what the taxes will be on the value notices that were sent out. We have a total of 951 informal appeals, and the summary on this page identifies the property class of all of those appeals. 22% of them have already been heard, with results letters being sent out. That just reflects what's been entered. We're working to try to get those entered and letters out as quickly as possible. 2024 annual review has also started, as not all of the appraisers are able to conduct those informal appeals. So we do have an appraiser that's working on the annual review phase. The variance request was approved by PDD, and this request was submitted just like last year's request for variance. And what all a variance means is, instead of physically measuring every parcel that is due for annual reinspection on site, we'll verify the data via the digital imagery. In the event information cannot be verified or appears to be inaccurate, a physical inspection will be conducted on the property. The green cards will be mailed out again this year on all parcels due for reinspection, just like they were last year. Sales validation is largely at a halt as we're working through the informal appeal season. Most sales in this report currently that I'm about to give you have not gone through that validation process. So we so far recorded 154 sales, of which 123 are residential properties. The median sale price is up over the last month at 194,875. And the average sale price is also up at 223,226. With our current sales ratio sitting at 98%. Once we start the validation, these numbers will likely change. And that's just because some of them are valid sales, some of them are not. And so once we start weeding through all of that, we'll get you some updated figures. We have 63 new building permits for 2023 so far, and 9 of those are new dwellings. On the commercial side, I've attached the commercial BOTA list with no new BOCC cases. Sorry, trying to move it up here. No new BOCC cases at this time. One notable change is the Country Meadows has agreed to a stipulated value for 2022. The appeal was originally scheduled to be heard on June 2nd in Topeka. The stipulation was a result of additional information that we considered. Both sides agree that this is the best approach. So let's see here. In addition, all of the appeals that were originally scheduled for August 7th in Topeka have been continued. As well, 4 other properties have still yet to be scheduled. There are a total of 55 commercial informal appeals as noted above on that chart. 3 of those are exempt properties, 1 of those was canceled. Our analyst is working to prepare all of the documentation needed for the Board of Tax Appeals hearings that are scheduled in Topeka. So some additional information. I've been heavily involved in the legislative items that have come up as there have been multiple bills proposed that affect our process and would impact staff time, budgets, and operating procedures as we move forward. And so SB 252 is granting exemption for property and competition with government entities, universities, and all the things. This bill will just, essentially, this doesn't necessarily affect, our appraisal process, but that exemption process, having to review every application that comes in. Who's going to approve those? There's just so much up in the air with this bill. It would just, again, shift the tax base more and more towards residential property owners if this passes. Senate Bill 323 was a bill that was discussed during last Thursday's commission meeting and making the county appraiser elected. SCR 1610 imposing the 3% cap. When I originally put this together, that was not adopted in the Senate. However, yesterday, the SCR 1611 was introduced, which changed 3% cap to a 4% cap. This cap and valuation will eventually lead to an inequity within the property tax system itself, where some properties are valued at market, while other properties are valued below market. Some will be paying their fair share of taxes and some will not. Again, as far as on the appraiser side of things, we still have to follow the market and we'll still have to go through our typical processes. This is just something that in the long run will have a negative impact on property owners and taxpayers. So it won't necessarily affect what we do directly, but we will just continue to monitor that situation. HB 2002. This is relating to the R&R statements, extending reimbursement to clerks, requiring 2-year value, actually, I believe it's 3 prior years valuation to be listed on the annual valuation notices. So 2 prior years plus the current. So 3 total years are supposed to be listed on this. Currently, we list the current plus the prior. So now there will be additional information that needs to be printed on those notices, allowing the filing of an appraisal by a certified residential appraiser for the appeal process. It used to be just a certified general. Now they're going to allow the certified residential, and discontinuing the prohibition of paying taxes under protest after evaluation appeal. Unfortunately, this will create an unprecedented increase in staff workload due to being allowing those property owners to appeal their property more than once in a given year. If a property owner does not agree with a value as a result of that informal appeal, there's additional avenues to take. That first is filling out the back of the form within 30 days and sending that in, and the Board of Tax Appeals, small claims division, will then hear the case. They will make the final determination from there. We present why we evaluated it the way they did. They present why they don't believe our value is accurate, and then the board makes the decision. The small claims division makes the decision. If they get that result and they still don't agree with that, then they can file another appeal to the Board of Tax Appeals themselves, and those are heard in Topeka, where then the Board of Tax Appeals hears both sides and they make the decision. Unfortunately, what this is going to do is it'll allow for that at the informal level, and then they can do that same thing when they go to pay their taxes. And so essentially the volume, not only in the appraiser's offices, but also for the Board of Tax Appeals, could very likely become unmanageable. I think they tried this several years back and it was stopped just because of that exact reason. We value January 1 based off of everything that occurred in that prior year. So when we make that final decision during that informal, nothing's going to change between that and then a payment under protest, besides just not agreeing with where that value landed. or getting those tax bills and seeing what the tax impact is. And so SB 234 was the next bill recording the cost approach to value being used for certain properties. SB 263 requiring the appraiser directives be established by rules and regs, and the current directives expiring June 30th, 2024. We were our organization was very active in communication regarding the concerns with that quick expiration, not having any time to get those directives before rules and regs. So they did amend that expiration date to June 30th, 2027. And so we were happy to see that. SB 8 is reducing personal property penalties and filing requirements. Things have been moving just really quickly in legislation. Even the bills that were not adopted and passed could wind up in some form of or another in a conference committee or tacked onto another bill. Considering we are in budget season, I have to prepare for the possibility of increased cost, training, and workload for our appraisers. And so I have started preparations for our 2024 budgets. The cost for printing, mailing, and value defense continue to climb. Unfortunately, statutorily, required mailings and deadlines cannot be avoided. And so these costs climb, the budget must be adjusted. I'm doing what I can to keep budgets as flat as possible. Just a heads up for time off. As of right now, I have requested Monday the 10th, and I plan vacation in August from the 4th through the 8th. I was made aware yesterday of that meeting on Monday at 10:30, and I will be here for that meeting on Monday with the legislators regarding all the upcoming legislation, considering how much of it impacts our office and what we do. I've been sending emails to legislators, just letting them know of some of the impact that some of these bills that are kind of being pushed through can have. This last little chart for you guys is just an appeal history, Riley County Historic Appeal Count. It goes all the way back to 1989. I just thought it was interesting just to look at and see, to show you, yes, this year's appeals are up, but it's not the first time historically this has happened.
What happened in 89?
89 was reappraisal.
The state.
That was a complete change on it.
So everybody.
Yeah, so
Okay.
2022 had a slight climb over the 2021, but with the trend that we've seen in the last 2 years, I don't want you to be alarmed. This is just, it's just the market across the state. Everyone's seeing the same thing. Nothing to be surprised by. But I'm open to any questions, comments, concerns.
When said after the informal appeal, their next step is through
Small claims.
it's the BOTA small claim. Does that one get resolved? Is it like the regular BOTA that takes years to go through, or does
No.
that one?
Small claims division moves a lot quicker. So basically they have 30 days to file from the date of that results letter, the date that's mailed. They have 30 days to file the request. And then those get scheduled fairly quick, especially on the residential side. Commercial, I can't really speak to how quickly those move, but on the residential side, those small claims.
They're not
Yeah,
drug out like the other.
no, those are done typically, I mean, they used to be in person, but now they are more typically done over the phone. I think all of those are being heard over the phone. And the Board of Tax Appeal, small claims division attorneys will contact the property owner and us, and it's a conference call where we send them the information and both sides, and it's
Okay.
discussed. So it is the second opportunity if they still don't agree with the outcome.
You know, I had someone ask me about that, and I
Sure.
wasn't sure what it was, what involved, but
Yeah,
it doesn't drag out like that.
no, it's not like
Both
the,
step,
it's not like the full board appeals that's the third opportunity they don't agree with the value. And then there's the chart of all the small claims division, in preparation for budget time. I've gone through all of these to see, okay, which ones do we have the appraisals for, which ones don't we? And unfortunately, there are some historic ones that we do not have the appraisals for. We just recently had to commission one on our Home Depot for one of the tax years at the recommendation of our attorney. And so that's something else that I have to try to be prepared for back years and the appraisals if it's deemed necessary. I'll be working on cost benefit analysis to make sure we do the best we can, try to keep budgets down. Questions? Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you. You guys have a good weekend.
You too.
Thanks, Commissioners. You have Deputy County Councilor Greg Fox at 9:45. Still 9:45.
If we can take home and think about and read. No. Good morning, Commissioners. Craig Cox, Deputy County Counselor. I'm going to talk about two things. Both are we've talked about before. First, I'll start with the current 2023 property tax case. Currently, we have 127 cases. There's a small chart there that breaks down those 120 I say cases, properties into the type of properties. We have a number of different residential formats, and then we have a significant number of vacant residential lots. We have some vacant ag use lots, and then some industrial commercial vacant lots. Under the property analysis, of the 14 residential properties, we have 3 owner occupied, 4 abandoned, and 7 rental properties. And so we do have structure this year that have people in them. And we have never sold. I mean, selling a rental is not quite as impactful as a taxpayer's own home, because the landlord can change and the renter can stay in place. And so the consequences of that type of sale is not near as consequential as owner occupied. And we do have 3 owner occupied, and we've never have sold a person's home yet out from underneath them. We have one property in particular, those 3 that the owner has been the owner's been hard to communicate with in prior years, but in this year we have not had one communication with him. We've tried, as in the past, we've tried letters, phone calls. He really doesn't operate on email, though we try that some too. But we have reached out to family. He has some children in the area here, Kansas City, and up in Nebraska. Just talked to one yesterday. So we'll see where that goes, but potentially we'll have to just see how that goes. We got a couple more months between now. The tax auction is set for Friday, June 23rd. So we'll see how that turns out. The vacant residential lots are significant. It's 106, and as that analysis shows, 93 of them are owned by River Trail Properties, and those are what we call the rim properties over by Ogden. They're to the north of the colorful apartments along the highway, and they are vacant. We have another owner that owns some of those, not these 93, that they just hay the property. It actually has ag use, but these are vacant. We've had some buyer inquiry. I don't know how serious that is, because what discourages most buyers is that these are the properties that the city of Ogden has put utilities on, water, sewer, and on the average, this is just an average number, the annual special assessments are about $4,800. And so that really discourages potential buyers. So we won't sell the lots individually. We're going to group them as they're platted. So we'll probably sell 10 or 15 lots at a time with a rational concept from how the lots are platted out there. So we'll see how that goes. As of to date, during the case since January 1st, since Yeah, since the 1st of January, we've only had one case, one property redeemed, that was for $22,000. We had a lot of redemptions prior to filing. I needed to get that information from Shiloh, and with this being the week of her move, I decided not to bother with that minute detail. We have sent out, we tell people when they call us through the course since last October, get on the county website, enter your name and notify me. And if you're interested in the tax sale, then we send out notices on that. We sent our first notice out this week as to the date of the tax auction, and they can begin sign up, as of yesterday. They can actually register for the auction. So we started that process. And we've had 10 people register so far. So that's the current status of the tax case. Any questions that you have?
And Bridgeview, is that Randolph? Is that what Bridgeview is? Is that what
Yeah.
it's called?
Yeah. We always have 6 lots. That's kind of a small number for Bridgeview.
I know those.
And not only that, we have no trouble selling those lots at tax sale. They always get sold. So sometimes we sell them 4 years later, but they always get sold at a tax auction. So the other topic I just wanted to bring up, and has been at the forefront the last couple of weeks, is animal control. And what I wanted to report to you that I had a meeting with city legal staff on Tuesday. It was with the assistant city attorney, Rachel Shirk. Animal control has been delegated to her to deal with. And I just wanted to give you some takeaways from the meeting I had with her. The analysis that legal made for the city a few years ago when they quit enforcing our animal control policy in the county was that there was no contract in place for animal control officers to do that, since they were considered to be city employees. Obviously, we had the 1988 animal control resolution in effect, and so without any contract, the city legal determined that the animal control officers did not have the authority to enforce that resolution and told them to quit doing it. That's why it happened. I don't know yet, because she did not know when that happened, and I'll get that date. I'm working on that date for them. Another interesting takeaway was it's legal's position, and I stress, what legal has a position on and what commissioners do can be two different things. I mean, we all know that, that's just a fact of life. But the legal position is that animal control and the animal shelter are two separate matters. And that all that's being proposed now is to transfer the animal control officers to RCPD. The city is going to maintain control of the animal shelter, and what they're looking at is to privatize that, and to contract that service out with another company. So again, that's legal's analysis right now, and so I just wanted to pass that on to you for what that's worth.
So I guess from my perspective, I know we already talked about this, and I'm just bringing it up in the conversation. How does transferring the service to a consolidated unit, which RCPD obviously is, and the statutory requirement is facilities are to be taken care of and maintained by the county. And then in this scenario, with those services shifting to that consolidated unit, but the facility does not.
And that's a real good question, Commissioner Ford. And I don't have an answer for that from the city's perspective, because this is what I was told on Tuesday, was that they think it's separate. I mean, whether that, in regard, I want to get into the consolidated law enforcement issue too, but whether that's really a valid analysis under consolidated, that you could separate structures out. That's.
If it is, that, I mean, that is what it is, but if
Yeah.
it's not, then we've, by virtue of them doing that, have taken over a facility that's one, not even in our own county, and two, we don't even know who's statutorily required for it, and then under that umbrella.
And a question that Clancy and I started researching it yesterday, what we're gonna research is, we have consolidated law enforcement here in Raleigh County, and we have our own set of Kansas statutes that does that. So in a way, our law enforcement is very unique. I mean, there's another set of statutes for city police departments. There's another set for county sheriff's offices, but we have our own set for consolidation here. And what we're going to be looking at is that consolidation statute was to consolidate law enforcement, to consolidate city and county law enforcement. Does that really pick up animal control? I mean, can animal control under that consolidation be handed off to RCPD as a job, since that set of statutes was to regulate law enforcement? So we're gonna research that. What's interesting, my third takeaway was that in regards to handing off the animal control officers, Director Pete had an extensive memo that, as I recollect it, was that if they're going to be required to do countywide animal control, they needed 7 positions. Well, this takeaway is that from city legal, the only positions the city wants to transfer to RCPD are the 3 currently budget positions for the city, and they just want RCPD to enforce their ordinance, not a county ordinance, just our ordinance.
Again, that's how RCBD set up.
Well, I mean,
And there's a $364,000 plus budget for that.
Oh, yeah.
And in terms of how you operate the admin side of that, that comes under that 80-20 split.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really matter how many they want or don't want. If you transfer it over there, they're paying 80% of that bill.
I mean, but they'd rather have the 3 put over, not the 7, because that's going to be less for them to pay in the 80-20 split. But that concept that they only want those 3 and they only want city enforcement, that really begs the question. First is, this is if the city's position is that animal control comes under law enforcement, so you can't hand it off to RCPD on the consolidated statutes. But if that's really a correct analysis, and we haven't determined that yet, but if it is a correct analysis, then that animal control is countywide enforcement, because that's what the consolidation does. And to just limit it to the city, that in itself is inconsistent. So, I mean, so those were the takeaways I had from a meeting with the city legal staff. We agreed that we needed to do additional research, and both departments were going to do additional research on what we were looking at, and we'll come back around and have another meeting. But I just wanted to pass on those 3 takeaways, that they're looking at only transferring the animal control officers to RPC. They want to maintain control of the facility to privatize. I mean, that's at least the concept now, and then
How can you separate the 2? That's what gets me. How do you separate those?
Well, their factual analysis is that the current animal control officers don't have an office anywhere. They don't have an office, and they don't have any offices in the shelter.
And they think somehow that's going to happen at RCPD.
Well, and
space there either.
And right now they kind of hang out there,
Yeah.
because RCB kind of lets them do that. But they in their analysis, they're 2 separate operations. Because the animal control officers.
Well, they have to take the animals somewhere. How can you separate the 2?
I'm just relaying the analysis the city has at this point in time. So don't ask me to necessarily give them
what they're doing.
And if they're going to separate the two, then they're gonna be running a facility in Potawatomi County, which they're gonna charge back to the Manhattan residents, but not the county. It doesn't make sense.
Well, but the facility technically is in the city of Manhattan.
Yeah, I mean,
So
that's
from a
one thing
municipal
is,
perspective, they can do that part of it, but in terms of countywide and how that applies, I don't know. It's of my thought that though our update to the policy in general is needed, it's 35 years old, and I talked to Craig about this yesterday. I'm okay with that part of it. I think we defined that properly and modernized that. But in terms of how we deal with the animal control side, I don't think it's an issue here. And I don't think it warrants $60,000 any direction on either or, even if you split 30,000 both ways. I think it has to be a per incident type of payment and type of fee schedule. So if you have 20 of those, you figure out what the price is, you figure out the cost for each one of the services contained with that, and we pay for that outright, and that covers everything that we need.
Commissioner Ford is like, the city has the flexibility, and if they annex property out in Pot County, that then becomes the city of Manhattan, so they can provide services,
Right.
you know, within their city limits, but we have to honor the county line.
Yeah,
You know, and so it's an issue for us, not for the city.
well, but if they decide they want to outsource it to somebody, you know, in Kansas City. You know, do we have to agree? We don't have to agree with that. I mean, that seems like it.
It's all policy decisions that's within the realm of your decision-making authority, so. I mean, there's a lot going on here. I mean, this is.
We're not gonna have this solved anytime
There's
soon.
5 or 6 moving parts here, and again, I want to emphasize with you that in my discussion with the city legal staff, that the key word was, from their perspective, this is the current proposal. Now, whether that proposal changes based upon policy directives from the commission, that could happen too, but these are the current proposals. I can't emphasize that enough. These are the current proposals they're looking at.
Just looking at it in total, I just don't see where they figure they're getting some kind of cost efficiency out of this. They're not really saving anybody any money trying to make this move. I mean, maybe you make it more efficient in terms of how you produce the services and provide them, maybe. But in terms of cost, I'm not seeing where you're getting an overwhelming benefit by doing this to start with.
So trust me, I will keep you updated as we progress on this, and make sure it's legally, I mean, I just started the analysis of the consolidated statutes, and there's gonna be some heavy duty legal issues, you know, in that analysis, and so we will keep you updated as to that. Did you tell me when the next
17th is the next law board meeting.
okay, we'll try to have something more definite by then. That's April?
Yes.
Okay.
The bigger issue, this board, whether it's you guys or not, at some point in time, is going to have to determine is where do we end the county responsibility in the city of Manhattan. That is the issue on many issues that needs to be resolved, or else we will be subsidizing Wamego in the future.
And we already are.
I've kind of cut into some of Amanda's time already, so. You don't have any more questions at all?
Follow that up, Amanda.
We will pick this up again as we progress in the research.
Sounds good, Craig.
Good morning again, Amanda Webb, Planning Director, here with Planning and Development's monthly staff updates. As I normally do, I'll just kind of hit some of the highlights in my report, and then always happy to take any questions or anything you'd like me to look into for you folks. Right, so I always like to talk about Keats, the sewer benefit district there. There's not a ton new to report that you folks aren't already aware of. We of course gave you an update on the March 9th community meeting that we had out at Keats that we feel was well attended. We kept in contact with them, and I am due to send them another email here just to, kind of keep reaching out to them, keep making sure they're aware that we're still here, we're still working on things, and we just want to keep that connection with them. Kind of got it on my calendar every first of every month. I'll just send them a little update. Hopefully, as we go down the line, those updates will get a little bit more exciting and, more to share with them. But again, I just really want to make sure we keep in contact with them. So
I did
even
have-
if it's just we're still here.
I'll wait till you get to conference plan, so.
Okay, sure. We are, as usual, we're still looking for a location for our lagoon. And we're looking into additional funding. There are a couple new, or at least one new grant program that seems promising that the working group is looking into, so we will keep you posted on that. So yeah, just kind of keep plugging away with that one, so. Comprehensive plan update. Again, I was before you folks last Monday to give my monthly update on that, so not a whole ton new to report now. Of course, I appreciate your approval of the RFQ for consultant assistance. I will send that out on Monday to a wide variety of folks and get that posted on the website. And hopefully get some good qualification statements that will be able to get some good interviews going and get a good consultant on board. I don't think I mentioned before when we were doing the RFQ this morning, but I would like, so I'm anticipating the comprehensive plan committee or TAP committee to start probably late May, early June, just to kind of have that initial get together with folks and just, have some initial conversations and then get the consultant on board and start, getting that working through.
That's my question. Do we have that committee put together? Do we
We're
know
working
everybody
on
that's on it? Okay. And what's the
That's,
process for it?
yeah, so that's the one, I brought the table for you folks to show you the different entities I've reached out to. I've heard from several of them, which I'm really happy for. A lot of them I haven't heard from yet, so giving them a little bit of time, and sometimes it, takes the time to figure out, okay, who can do this, and do we have time and all of that. So I'll probably, let's say the 6th, I'll probably reach out to ones that I haven't heard from in the next couple of weeks again, just to kind of check back in and, see kind of where they are on things. And then of course, I'll bring that information, all of that information to you folks to put that committee together. Essentially, I apologize, but I would assume that's something that you folks would have to point everybody to. So, yeah. So yes, I will definitely bring all of that information to you when it is time. I anticipate that in May.
Okay.
So, yeah, I'll definitely keep you updated on that. Let's see more about that. Vivian and I did have a good conversation about the survey, and as usual, she's got some great ideas. So she is kind of working on some of that. We're also talking about, other than having the survey online, how we're going to get it out to people so that they're aware, because we know not everybody's online. Sounds like a lot of people are, but we do want to make sure that we have that hard copy option, if you will. We really want to make sure we get as many people to fill out the survey as possible. So anything more on the comp plan update? Okay. And again, with the survey, once we have a next draft or whatnot, I'll bring that back before you folks to review again before it will go out the door. So. Fee schedule review, I'll just mention, of course, we got that one done, so I know that had been on my goal list for the last couple of years, so I'm really glad we were able to get through that. I appreciate you all working with me on that, getting that approved. Let's see, current planning, I do want to put a couple things on here that I want you folks to be aware of that's coming up. Evergy has submitted a special use request, actually they submitted a couple months ago. For a new substation in the Ashland Township area.
It's not going over well.
Correct, and that's why I wanted to make sure to mention it to you folks. It was tabled at our March meeting and it's back on our agenda for next Monday evening. Of course, the idea is to take it off the table and actually make a decision / recommendation to forward to you folks. Yes, we do know and anticipate that there will be some folks in attendance and sharing some comments and concerns. And that will be before you folks, after of course the planning board does their thing and ships the recommendation to you. I'm not sure that we have a date yet before you folks, But we will make sure to request additional time on your agenda. I know usually we only do 10 or 15 minutes, and that's usually perfectly fine with our petitions for you folks to review and approve or decide on. But this one we'll definitely make sure we have some additional time, because I would anticipate that we'll have more comments at your meeting as well, so. And I will keep you updated when I know what that date's going to be. Of course, I'll let you know, so you're aware of when that's coming up. I think that was really the big one I wanted to mention with the current planning. We of course have a few other things going on, but that was the kind of the bigger one that we'll be working on here. Personnel, Sarah Dorson started as our as needed clerical assistant, and she's doing great, so I'm really glad to have her. Environmental health specialist position, of course, we've been vacant for a few weeks now, it feels like a lot longer. We've had that position posted also for a while, have received some applications. We're doing more interviews today and tomorrow. So we'll kind of see, what we can make work there. Elizabeth and I have had some conversations about maybe changing up the level of the position, if you will, rather than a specialist, maybe bring it down to a tech, just to kind of explore some options, just so we can hopefully get somebody good. But that's where we are right now on that, so I'll keep you updated with that. In terms of the environmental health services transition, of course, you folks approved soils contract with Leon Presley. She did sign it, so I have that. Of course, I've sent that back to Cindy. Her first, her and her class are doing their first soil evaluation today. So I already had her scheduled. I have several throughout the month of April for her. So I'm really glad that we were able to get her, and it works out really well for them too, because of course then their class gets real world on the ground experience, which is really important. So I'm working on a couple other things, again, just to keep these services going as best we can. In the meantime, I'm trying to keep as best I can in contact with the contractors and installers, keeping them updated what's going on. They've been really understanding and really supportive, and glad for that. We are allowing some photographs, documentation, things like that. Not on everything. There are some things that we do, of course, need to get on the ground with them on. But we're just doing what we can to keep things moving, so people can, again, stay in their homes or move into their homes, or have a reliable system. So, and I am quickly becoming an expert on septic system components. So let that one go.
Yeah, I had a good one liner, but I'm gonna leave it alone.
Okay, so I believe, let me look at my notes here. I think that's pretty much the highlights of what I wanted to make sure to address with you folks today. If you have any questions, comments, thoughts, concerns, anything else?
Are you, how involved, I'm thinking of Keith's maybe remember, because I'm not sure how involved you are in University Park stuff at this point.
Not a ton, honestly.
Because they requested, John Ellerman and Evan and I are gonna be at their meeting in July. They wanted an update on where we are. I don't know if that's anything that affects you really, or is that just, I think they just want to know, because for what we're finding out about the existing system, my understanding.
Yeah, I haven't been a ton involved with University Park. Keith seems to be my baby, so. So kind of.
That's why I didn't know if that was something you needed to know about, or.
Well, I appreciate
Probably not yet, but that'll probably come in your
Eventually,
purview.
it will, but I
Yeah.
didn't know
that.
at this stage you needed to know about that stuff. I understand.
No, I
When you
appreciate
mentioned that, I thought, oh, yeah. That was last week, the set meeting with this.
They get a location settled for that.
What they're asking. They said they wanted, because we're supposed to be getting data about that existing system, about how much it's used, what they're asking about. Funding sources, we have, know where. I said, the deadline for some EPA, I want to make sure we haven't forgotten about it. This is so.
Any other questions or anything for me?
Just on one thing you thought, I think the commission sees a trend with a lot of positions taking a long time to
Yeah.
fill. Difficulties in filling them. We've got one in IT that's been open for I don't know how long, we get some others, but I think it's interesting to find in discussion topic you're gonna have today, your compensation and pay salary review at RCPD. One of the key things is there's, talking about considering lowering educational requirements. You're finding that in all areas, including teaching, I think. I mean, they cannot find teachers in any school district, and I think you'll be seeing some leeway on that here coming soon, because trust me, my wife is living it every day, and they cannot get one applicant for a teacher, and so I think we're gonna go back to, and it's something I do regularly, is back to the days when you're building your own. Get someone in that doesn't have the qualifications, but they're a good fit, good personality. You can tell they've had the basics in education, and going back to kind of building your own, paying for their licenses to get whatever certified they need for whatever.
Yeah.
We did that years ago with IT staff. We had many IT staff we hired didn't have certifications. That we built their own, and we said, we'll pay for it, but you're gonna commit to staying here this long if we pay for that. Or if you leave early, you'll reimburse us back that cost. And so Elizabeth is tremendous at recruiting, so I know it's not lack of recruiting effort. She's really good at that. That's one of the 4 days before she came into here, and so it's just a different environment.
I also-
You gotta think about doing things differently.
I also think, are we using all of our local and regional tools and resources and connecting with those? MATC, for instance, they train a lot of the stuff, they got programs for a lot. Are we connected with them and maybe pulling from that pool immediately and keeping them here? Or are they going elsewhere and we just haven't made a connection? And there's probably several other ones I'm not even thinking of. They're just trying to recruit talent, just new talent, buildable talent, whatever. I think in a lot of these positions, people that are vacating, there's really nobody with that level and that skill and that experience and those years put in that are gonna just back it up immediately, and we're gonna have to change our train of thought on.
I think something else you may see happen, so I think the state legislature is gonna have to go back and rethink and revert capers back to what it used to be. Right now, if you're on capers and you go back into it, you're kind of penalized for going back in as a capers employee, and it didn't used to be that way. Someone could retire and then go back to another capers job and not get penalized.
Oh, yeah.
I think they'll have to start looking at that as well, and that will help the teachers and local government as well, so.
But I hate to say it, that's not even 80% funded right now, and you've got a large people retiring, taking that out. Is that even going to be an option?
That's your problem, Don.
I know. I guess. All jokes aside, that's exactly the issue with it. So, yeah.
We got enough fun models.
Yeah.
Well, you're welcome.
Keep working, John.
Yeah, because I'm not gonna see that probably, well, I'm not doing papers anyway for that reason, but.
I know what you're saying.
Yeah, we're not gonna see any of that by the time we get to our age.
But I think
that
those
age.
are things the state's gonna have to start considering and doing too. And of course, there's 3 tiers of capers, and they've changed that way to help the funding aspect of it. There may be more changes in capers.
I just don't
The
see
tier
enough
1 that
people
I'm on
entering.
is a very good plan.
Are you on 1 or 2?
One.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and that part's
My wife
fine. You guys have paid into that system as well and should probably get it, but. We're, trying to pay behind there, and there's not enough of us to replenish it.
Yeah.
After that's
Yeah,
done.
just work harder.
Yeah, some of us are.
Take on a 3rd job.
Yeah, I'm thinking about it.
Okay, are you finished, Amanda? Thank you.
Of course, thank you. I'll have a good day.
Okay.
Good weekend.
Any other discussion? Yeah, please.
No, I don't know anything else.
Good.
Okay. With that said, then I'll make a motion to adjourn the April 6th meeting of the Riley County Commission.
Second.
I'll see the
It's been moved and seconded to adjourn the Raleigh County Commission meeting for April 6th, 2023. All in favor?
All right.
Everyone have a good weekend.